The restaurant doors gleam under soft lights, heavy with the promise of exclusivity. I, Aspen Bennett, stand there, my heels clicking faintly against the polished marble floor. The air smells of truffle oil and wealth, two things I've never quite gotten used to, despite the ring on my finger. My dress is simple, elegant enough, but it doesn't scream money the way this place does. I take a breath, steady myself, and step up to the Maitre D's podium. He barely glances at me before shaking his head. "I'm sorry, madam, but there's no reservation under your name." His voice is smooth, practiced, the kind that dismisses without effort. I blink, thrown for a heartbeat. "That's impossible," I say, keeping my tone even. "I was invited to dinner with my husband's family. They should already be here." He checks his tablet again, his polite smile firm as concrete. "I just looked. There's a reservation for 6, under Eleanor Hayes." 6, not 7. My stomach dips, a cold twist I should have seen coming. Before I can respond, a voice slices through the hum of the dining room. Sharp, familiar, dripping with amusement. "Oh, Aspen." I turn, and there she is. Eleanor Hayes, my mother-in-law, standing a few feet away. Her platinum hair catches the chandelier light, styled to perfection, her designer dress hugging her frame like it was sewn onto her. She's 58, but money keeps her looking 40. "Did you really think I'd include you in tonight's dinner?" she asks, her lips curling into a smirk. Behind her, at a table draped in crisp white linen, my husband Jack sits stiffly. 34, broad-shouldered, his tie slightly askew like he's been tugging at it. His eyes dart between me and his mother, but his mouth stays shut. Beside him, his sisters, Lauren, 29, with her sleek bob, and Sophie, 27, all sharp cheekbones, whisper to each other, smirking into their wine glasses. The humiliation lands like a slap, hot and sudden, but I don't let it show. Not yet. "I don't understand," I say, my voice calm, deliberate, like I'm discussing the weather. Eleanor's smile widens, predatory now. "Oh, sweetheart," she chuckles, as if I've done something adorable. "I didn't think you'd actually come. This is a family dinner. A place like this?" She gestures at the room, the crystal, the waiters gliding like ghosts, the hushed chatter of the elite. "Well, it's a bit out of your league, don't you think? Maybe a budget restaurant suits you better?" Lauren snickers behind her wine glass, a sound that grates like nails on glass. Sophie avoids my gaze, twirling a strand of hair. Jack, he just sits there, gripping his fork, silent as a statue. The weight of it settles in, thick enough to choke on. Other guests notice now, their curious glances flicking toward us, forks pausing mid-bite. I should have seen this coming. For years, Eleanor's made it clear I'm not one of them. I didn't grow up with trust funds or summer homes. I didn't go to Ivy League schools. I'm the girl who married into their world, and she's never let me forget it. The subtle digs started early, comments about my simple tastes, forgetting to invite me to family events, the empty smiles while she showered Jack with gifts. But this? This is bold, public, a new level of cruelty. She planned it, booked the table, left me off, watched me walk into her trap. And she's enjoying it, every second of my discomfort feeding that smug gleam in her eyes. I should feel small. The humiliation should burn, should make me want to shrink and run. But something inside me clicks, a switch flipping from shock to clarity. I smile, a slow, deliberate curve of my lips. Eleanor's expression falters, just for a second, a crack in her perfect mask. I turn to the Maitre d', still hovering awkwardly at his podium. "Would you be so kind as to ask the owner to come out?" I ask, my voice smooth, unshaken. Eleanor laughs, loud and sharp. "Oh, please. Do you really think the owner of this place is going to come out here just because you asked?" Her tone drips with mockery, daring me to prove her wrong. I turn back, meet her gaze evenly. "Yes," I say, letting the word hang, Because the owner of this restaurant, he knows me very well. Doubt flickers in her eyes, quick as a shadow, but she buries it fast. The air thickens, heavy with anticipation. She's about to learn something she won't forget. Eleanor's laugh lingers, echoing off the crystal chandeliers, but I hold my ground, my smile steady. The maitre d' hesitates, his fingers hovering over his tablet, unsure whether to humor me. Jack shifts in his seat, his knuckles white around that damn fork, still silent. Lauren and Sophie exchange a glance, their smirks fading into something wary. The other diners lean in, sensing drama like sharks smell blood. I don't move, don't blink. I've waited years for a moment like this. Eleanor's not the only one with cards to play. A deep voice cuts through the tension, warm and familiar. Aspen? I turn, and there he is. Mark Sullivan, 52, stepping into view. Salt and pepper hair, tailored suit. The kind of quiet confidence that comes with owning a place like this. The room shifts, a ripple of recognition among the staff. He's the king here, and his eyes light up when they land on me. Not with pity, not with dismissal, but with genuine warmth. Mark, I say, my smile widening, real now. It's been a while. He crosses the space between us, ignoring the table for a moment, his gaze steady on me. It has, he says, then flicks his eyes over to Eleanor, Jack, the sisters, before settling back. What brings you here tonight? His tone's casual, but there's an edge to it. He's reading the room, catching the unspoken currents. I gesture toward the table, light as if I'm pointing out a wine spill. Apparently, I wasn't included in the reservation, I say, my voice smooth. A bit of an oversight, wouldn't you say? Mark's eyes darken, just a shade, catching the subtext. He knows me well enough to hear what I'm not saying. Eleanor scoffs, crossing her arms, her gold bracelets clinking. Oh, please, she says, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. Do you really think this restaurant can just find a seat for her? This is a private dining establishment. You don't walk in and expect a table. She's leaning into her power now, the Hayes name her shield, her tone daring Mark to contradict her. His expression stays unreadable, a polite smile, curving his lips, lethal in its calm. You're absolutely right, Mrs. Hayes, he says, smooth as silk. This restaurant doesn't accept last-minute walk-ins. I feel a pang, a brief flicker of disappointment, but before it takes root, he turns to the matra, D. But Aspen's not a walk-in, she's family. The word lands like a stone in still water rippling out. The table freezes, Lauren's glass nearly slips from her fingers, Sophie's jaw drops. Jack's grip tightens until I think the fork might snap. Eleanor lets out a laugh, disbelieving, harsh. Family? She says, her voice rising. Oh, this is rich. You must be mistaken. Aspen is my son's wife, and I assure you, she has no connections. Actually, I interrupt, my voice cutting through hers, smooth and firm. Mark and I go way back. She narrows her eyes, her perfectly manicured nails digging into her arms. How? She demands, the question a challenge. I lean forward slightly, just enough for my words to carry to the nearby tables, loud enough to make her squirm. Before I married Jack, I worked in fine dining, I say. And Mark? He was my mentor. A stunned silence settles over the table, thick and electric. Eleanor opens her mouth, probably to protest, but Mark cuts her off, his smile softening, though it doesn't reach his eyes. Aspen isn't just some former employee, he says, calm, deliberate. She trained under me when she was fresh out of culinary school. I taught her everything she knows about hospitality, high-end service. She was one of the best students I ever had. His words aren't just for Eleanor. They're for the room, a quiet assertion of my worth. Eleanor's jaw tightens, a muscle twitching under her flawless makeup. This isn't going how she planned. I can see it, the realization creeping in, the fact that I have a past she didn't control, A past that's unraveling her little stunt right in front of her precious family. I'm not done. I turn to the maitre d', still standing awkwardly at his podium, tablet clutched like a lifeline. I assume Mark's word is good enough to find me a seat, I ask, my voice steady, confident. He straightens, snapping to attention. Of course, Miss Bennet, he says, signaling a waiter. I'll have the staff prepare a place right away. Eleanor's face flushes a shade of red I've never seen. Fury, embarrassment, both. This is ridiculous, she hisses under her breath, barely audible. The waiter hurries over, setting a place at their table, right next to Jack. I muse aloud, feigning surprise. Oh, looks like there's plenty of room after all. Eleanor's fingers curl into fists against the tablecloth, her rings glinting like tiny weapons. She thought she'd cornered me, made me the outsider again. But now the game's shifting, and she doesn't like it. I lean in, just slightly, my voice low so only she can hear. What's absurd, I say, is that you thought you could humiliate me and get away with it. Her nostrils flare, her eyes blazing, but she's got no move left, not yet. Mark watches, a faint amusement in his stance. The table's tense, the air heavy. This dinner's just getting started, and I'm not the one who's going to break. The waiter sets my place with a quiet clink of silver, the sound cutting through the tension like a blade. I slide into the seat next to Jack, my movements deliberate, my smile still lingering from Mark's intervention. Eleanor's face is a storm cloud, her red flush deepening as she watches me settle in. She's not used to losing ground, not in a room like this, surrounded by her precious family and the elite she's spent her life impressing. Mark retreats to a polite distance, but his presence lingers, a silent reminder of the shift I've just forced. Lauren and Sophie sit rigid, their earlier smirks gone, replaced by uneasy glances. Jack, he's a statue, his fork now abandoned, his eyes fixed on his wine glass like it might save him. Eleanor takes a slow sip of her own wine, her movements calculated, forcing composure over the fury I can see simmering beneath her skin. She places the glass down with a little too much force, the soft clack drawing eyes. Well, she says, her voice deceptively light, I suppose it's only natural that someone like you would know people in hospitality. She waves a hand, feigning politeness, her gold bracelets catching the light. You know, service industries, waiting tables, kitchen work. Not exactly the kind of careers we're accustomed to in this family. Her words drip with condescension, a jab meant to put me back in my place, the outsider, the girl who doesn't belong. I arch a brow, letting the insult hang for a moment. You say that like it's a bad thing, I reply, my tone calm, almost curious. She expected me to flinch, to shrink under the weight of her judgment, but I'm done playing that game. Her eyes flicker with something, annoyance, maybe surprise. She presses on, her smirk returning. I simply meant it must have been quite an adjustment for you, marrying into a family like ours. Her voice stays light, but the venom's there, sharp and unmistakable. Jack still says nothing, his gaze locked on that damn glass. I study him, the way his shoulders hunch slightly, the way he refuses to meet my eyes. And it hits me. This isn't just Eleanor's cruelty. It's his silence, his complicity. This isn't the first time she's tried to cut me down. At our wedding, she forgot to invite my family to the rehearsal dinner, leaving me alone among strangers. At Christmas, she handed me a cookbook, simple recipes for the clueless wife, in front of a room full of laughing relatives, while Jack just sipped his bourbon. Last summer, she mused aloud how fortunate I was that Jack had taken a chance on me, and he'd nodded like it was true. Every time I'd swallowed it, told myself it wasn't worth the fight. But now, watching him sit there, spineless, I feel something snap. I set my wine glass down, the movement slow, deliberate, the faint clink echoing in the silence. Eleanor, I say, my voice smooth even. Do you know what the difference is between you and me? She tilts her head, curiosity flickering despite herself, her lips parting slightly. I smile, letting it build. I worked for everything I have. Her face hardens, a crack forming in her poised mask. Excuse me? She snaps, her tone sharp now, unguarded. I don't blink, don't back down. You heard me, I say, my voice steady, cutting through the air like a wire. A stunned silence falls, sharp and heavy. Lauren stiffens, her hand frozen mid-sip. Sophie presses her lips together, suppressing something. A laugh, maybe, or shock. Eleanor scoffs, but it's weaker now, less certain. Are you trying to imply that I haven't worked for what I have? She asks, her voice rising, daring me to push further. I let the question linger, let it sit there between us, then lean forward just slightly. I didn't marry into wealth, I say, my words clear, deliberate. I didn't inherit status. I built my career from the ground up. I gesture at the table, the restaurant, the life she clings to. And yet, here we are, sitting at the same table, eating the same food, with the same respect from the owner. Eleanor's fingers curl around her napkin, knuckles white, her rings digging into the fabric. For the first time, I see it. A flicker across her face, something she usually hides too well. It's not just anger, it's fear. She spent years convincing herself I'm lesser, a gold digger who lucked into her son, but now she's starting to see the truth. I'm not breaking. I pick up my fork, casually cutting into the amuse-bouche Mark sent over, the delicate dish, a quiet victory. Oh, and Eleanor, I add, my voice low, deliberate. She exhales sharply through her nose, furious I've stolen the reins. What? She snaps. I smile, slow and sharp. You should be careful who you look down on. You never know who might end up above you. I spear a bite, place it in my mouth, chew slowly, savoring the taste, and the suffocating tension that follows. She composes herself, taking a slow breath, her mask slipping back into place. I see, she says finally, her voice smooth again, deceptively sweet. I suppose I should commend you, Aspen. You've managed to elevate yourself beyond your circumstances. I sip my wine, not giving her the reaction she craves. She leans forward, her lips curving into a saccharine smile. But tell me, she continues, dropping her voice to a mocking whisper, if you're so independent, so self-made, why is it that my son is the one paying for your lifestyle? The table holds its breath. Lauren lets out a quiet gasp. Sophie shifts uncomfortably, and Jack flinches, his glass trembling slightly in his hand. Eleanor's smile sharpens, her final card played, meant to bury me. I pause, let the words settle, then laugh, not a small, embarrassed chuckle, but a full, genuine laugh that echoes off the walls. Her smirk falters, confusion flashing in her eyes. I'm sorry, I say, still chuckling, placing my napkin back on the table. Is something funny? She narrows her eyes. Excuse me? I gesture toward Jack, my voice calm, deliberate. You think he supports me? I ask, arching a brow. That's adorable. Charlotte chokes on her wine. Sophie's lips part in shock, and Jack goes pale, his face draining of color. Eleanor's smile drops entirely. What are you talking about? She demands, her voice tight. I sigh, almost pitying her ignorance. You still see Jack as your little boy, don't you? The provider, the man who rescued me from my lowly life. I tilt my head, locking eyes with her. But let me tell you something, Eleanor. That's not how this marriage works. Her fingers twitch, her composure cracking again. That's not possible, she whispers, but I'm not stopping. What's funny, I continue, my tone light but lethal, is that Jack's business? His investment projects? Half of them were funded with my money. The silence is deafening now, a void swallowing the table. Eleanor's eyes widen, her world tilting in real time. What? She breathes, barely audible. I turn my gaze to Jack, who's frozen, his hands shaking. He didn't build his career alone, I say, still speaking to her but staring at him. When he wanted to start investing, he He didn't have the capital. I did. Lauren and Sophie look at Jack, waiting for him to deny it, but he doesn't. He can't. I shake my head, the truth spilling out like wine from a cracked bottle. You think you can humiliate me by painting me as some dependent little housewife? That's laughable. I lean back, crossing my arms. Because the truth, Eleanor, is that Jack needs me far more than I need him. Her face turns a deep crimson, her breath shallow. Jack finally speaks, his voice a croak. Aspen, maybe we should... I hold up a hand, cutting him off. No, Jack, I say, firm, unyielding. You don't get to, maybe we should me right now. Not after you sat here while your mother tried to destroy me. Eleanor looks at him, her golden boy, and for the first time I see disgust in her eyes. Not for me, but for him. The irony's delicious, and I'm just getting started. The silence after my words is a living thing, thick and pulsing, swallowing the table whole. Eleanor's face is a mask of red fury, her eyes darting between me and Jack, who's shrunk into his seat, a shadow of the man I once thought I knew. Lauren and Sophie sit frozen, their wineglasses forgotten, their whispers dead. I've just stripped away the illusion Eleanor clung to, that her son was the pillar, the provider, and I was nothing but a leech. The truth hangs there, undeniable, and I feel it. A clarity I haven't known in years. I'm done. I stand, smoothing my dress with steady hands, the fabric cool against my skin. I think I'm done here, I say, my voice calm, final. Eleanor's nostrils flare, her composure splintering. You can't just... She starts, but I cut her off, turning to Mark, who's been watching from the sidelines, a faint smile tugging at his lips. Lovely seeing you, Mark, I say, genuine warmth in my tone. Thank you for the hospitality. He nods, amusement glinting in his eyes. Always a pleasure, Aspen, he replies, his voice a quiet anchor in the storm I've unleashed. I shift my gaze to Jack, still hunched over his untouched plate. You coming? I ask. The question, simple, pointed. He hesitates, his eyes flicking to Eleanor, then back to me, a deer caught in headlights. The moment stretches, heavy with his indecision, and I know, I've always known what he'll choose. He stays seated, his silence louder than any words. Eleanor's smile creeps back, triumphant, thinking she's won. I smile right back, sharper, because this isn't her victory, it's mine. I turn and walk out, my heels clicking against the marble, the cool night air brushing my face as I step through the doors. My mind is sharp, clear, the fog of years lifting with every step. This dinner was the final push, a wake-up call I didn't know I needed until Eleanor handed it to me on a silver platter. I pull out my phone, my fingers steady as I type a message to my attorney. We're moving forward. Initiate the process first thing tomorrow. The response pings back in seconds. Understood. You'll have the first draft of the divorce settlement by noon. I exhale, slow and deep, the word divorce settling over me like a release, not a weight. I reach home before Jack, the house dark and silent, a mausoleum of a marriage I'm ready to bury. I head straight to the bedroom, pulling a suitcase from the closet with calm precision. I pack, not in anger, not in haste, but with absolute certainty. Clothes, essentials, a few keepsakes from my life before him. This isn't emotional, it's calculated, a departure I should have made years ago. By the time Jack's key turns in the lock, I'm on the couch, suitcase by my side, waiting. He pauses in the doorway, his broad frame outlined by the dim hall light, staring at me like he's walked into the wrong house. Aspen, he says, his voice rough, uncertain. What are you doing? I tilt my head, meeting his gaze. Leaving, I reply, smooth as silk. His breath catches, his eyes darting to the suitcase. You made your choice, Jack, I say, standing now, my tone steady. Back there, at the restaurant, when your mother humiliated me again, and you just sat there. He rubs at the back of his neck, flustered, his tie still crooked. I was trying to keep the peace, he mutters, the excuse weak, worn thin. I laugh, short and sharp. Peace? I step closer, watching him shrink under my stare. Your mother planned that dinner to embarrass me, Jack. She booked the table, left me off on purpose, insulted me in front of everyone, and you let her, just like you always do. His jaw tenses, but he doesn't deny it. He can't. I gave you chances, I continue, my voice low, firm. So many chances. But tonight, I saw you for what you are. He flinches, his eyes snapping to mine, offended. And what's that? He asks, a spark of defiance flickering. Weak, I say, the word landing like a stone. He staggers back a step, gripping the counter, but I'm not done. You're weak, Jack, and I'm tired of pretending you're not. He swallows hard, his face darkening. I'll fight you on this, he says, his voice low, a desperate edge to it. If you think you're walking away with half of everything, you're mistaken. I stare at him for a moment, then smile, soft, sharp, lethal. Oh, Jack, I say, reaching into my bag, pulling out an envelope, tossing it onto the counter. You really should read your own contracts more carefully. He hesitates, then grabs it, ripping it open, his eyes skimming the legal document inside. His hands shake, his breath hitching. This says you own 51% of my investment firm, he stammers, disbelief choking his words. I nod, casual, controlled. Correct, I say. And the penthouse downtown? That's mine too. I had my lawyer check the ownership papers today. His face drains of color, horror replacing the bravado. You wouldn't, he whispers. I already did, I reply, adjusting the strap of my bag over my shoulder. He grips the counter harder, his voice trembling. Aspen, you can't just take this from me. I smile again, no warmth in it. I'm not taking anything, I say. I already own it. Your success? My money built it. I let you borrow it, Jack. Let you play the big shot. But now, I want it back. He staggers again, the reality crashing over him like a wave. I step closer, my voice a whisper. You need me, Jack. I don't need you. With that, I pick up my suitcase, brush past him, and walk out the door. The click of the latch behind me, the sound of freedom. A month later, I sit in the penthouse, legs crossed, a glass of champagne in my hand, the city skyline glittering through the floor-to-ceiling windows. The space is mine, legally, undeniably, and it feels like breathing for the first time in years. Across from me, my attorney slides the finalized divorce papers over the sleek glass table. It's official, she says, smiling. You're free. I run my fingers over the thick paper, the word sinking in. Free. I lift the glass to my lips, savoring the crisp bubbles, the quiet triumph. The past few weeks were a storm. Jack fought, of course, stormed into meetings, demanded more, threatened court, but the documents shut him down. 51% of his firm, the penthouse at the investments I'd funded, all mine, proven in black and white. Eleanor tried too, calling me, her voice a hiss of rage. You gold-digging snake, she'd spat. I'd laughed, calm, cutting. If you'd raised him better, this wouldn't have happened. Then I blocked her number. She's not my problem anymore. My phone buzzes, Jack's name flashing. Can we talk? I smirk, typing back. About what? A pause, then. I don't know what to do. I shake my head, the sadness fleeting. For years, I waited for him to fight for me, to stand up to her, to be the man I married. Now, he's lost, clinging to me when I've already let go. I type one last reply. That's not my problem anymore. Then I block him too, the final thread snapping. I lean back, the champagne cool against my lips. For the first time, I've chosen myself, my worth, my power, my life. It's not just victory, it's everything.